Thanks for joining us on the Speed Channel around Australia. A very warm welcome to Western Springs Speedway Stadium in Auckland, New Zealand, for the start of the 2014 World Speedway Championship. Of course, the New Zealand FIM Speedway Grand Prix under half an hour away. I'm David TAPP. Thanks for joining us. And beside me is Australia's greatest ever Speedway competitor, triple world champion Jason CRUMP. Welcome back to a Speedway that I know you enjoyed as a rider for what should be a tremendous Grand Prix today.
It's going to be an awesome meeting. First Grand Prix of the year is always exciting, and to have it in New Zealand again is awesome, and really looking forward to the action getting underway.
Despite the fact that you've now been retired for a couple of seasons, Australia well represented in the 2014 World Championship Series with 3 riders.
Absolutely. Chris Holder back for another go after his injury from last year. Darcy Ward in there with a real chance, I think, this year. And, of course, Troy Batchelor getting a call up probably about 6 to 8 weeks ago. So exciting times for Australian Speedway, and great to have 3 guys in the Grand Prix again.
Sure. I'm delighted to say we will be joined by all 3 Aussies contesting today's event here in New Zealand on the program in the next 20 minutes or so. Let's talk about the Speedway venue itself here at Western Springs. It is certainly a departure from the norm in terms of comparing it to the tracks in Europe. It's predominantly a clay base with shale laid on top, big, wide, fast and banked.
Absolutely. It's the banking, the size of it and the banking that make it different. The surface is similar to what you get in on some of the tracks in Europe, but the banking is where you make your speed. This track is the fastest track on the circuit. It doesn't always lend itself to great racing, but the speeds are phenomenal. And as we saw last year with Darcy Ward getting up on the fence, some of the things that can be done are pretty amazing here.
It's certainly a tremendous viewing circuit. It makes a great spectacle trackside.
Yeah, absolutely. Up on the bank on the back straight's an awesome place to watch. So yeah, pretty exciting venue.
Yeah, and because of the reasons we've outlined and the fact that it is a real horsepower track, to some extent the form guide can go out the window. I know it's the first round, but even if it were not, let's say it was the 10th, that you couldn't really take too much out of what happened 2 weeks ago, if you know what I'm saying. The track does throw up a few new equations.
It does, but predominantly the good starters will always do well here. Guys like Greg Hancock, a past winner, Jaroslav Hampel, a past winner. Guys that are very fast when they get going, but also fast over the first part of the race.
Obviously some new faces, as is always the case in 2014. The German Martin Smolinski is one such person. And we also have a veteran like the Danish rider Bjerre making a comeback after an absence of a few years. But it wasn't that long ago that Ty Woofenden was a rookie too, and now he's the world champion. I think he was 500 to 1 this time last year. 500
to 1 this time last year, and honestly, I thought Ty would be doing really well if he could maintain a top 8 automatic qualifying position. But as we saw, he didn't set the world on fire here. He got a semi-final start. I think he ran a last in the semi-final. But once the series got back to Europe and the season kicked off properly, he grew from strength to strength.
A couple of big names missing too, Golub and Emil Saifutinov. But of course, there's a couple of old hardheads we're very used to seeing who will be right there today and throughout the season. Greg Hancock, the American, and of course the triple world champion, your old adversary, Nicky Pedersen from Denmark.
Well, that's right, David. I mean, Greg Hancock is amazing. The way he keeps going and being competitive at 43, 44 years old, it amazes me because I'm done and dusted. Greg's strength is his starting, and here at Western Springs, starting is important. The amount of roost that comes off the bikes when you're behind, that's a big help to Greg. Also, Nicky. Nicky's been classed as a pretty fast rider, but I think this track here is not quite right for him. I think it's probably just a little bit too fast and flowing for him. Yeah, and that could be one of the reasons we've not seen Nicky in Australia over the last decade or so, rather, when a lot of the top European guys were coming down under to race in elite international series and things of that nature. Nicky gave it a miss. Yeah, and look, I know a lot of riders want to give it a miss to have a rest, but there's possibly a bit of fact there with the size and shape of the tracks. But one thing for sure with Nicky Pedersen is you get 100% out of him, whether it's his day or not. And I feel that what he did last year here, I think running 2 lasts in his first 2 races and coming back to actually make the final, that showed his determination.
Of course, Jarek Hampel is the defending New Zealand FIM Speedway Grand Prix champion. We'll go to him in just a moment. Prior to that, though, the 3 Aussies we've touched on, there are 3 different stories. Chris Holder, the 2012 world champion, coming back from serious injury, trying to re-establish himself. Did a great job in Australia during the off-season. Darcy Ward, an unbridled, remarkable talent who's yet to reach his ultimate goal. And, of course, Troy Batchelor, who gets his opportunity of a lifetime this season.
Yeah, well, I mean, as we said with Troy, he only got in 6 or 8 weeks ago when I think Emil pulled out. So he's certainly been behind the 8 ball as far as setup goes, but maybe that's what he needs, you know. He hasn't had time to stress out about it. He's a pretty calm guy, and you know, anytime anybody gets the opportunity to go into the Grand Prix, they're going to grab it. He's a young guy who wants to go places, so you never know. He could be a surprise packet.
Well, at 32 years of age, Poland's Jarek Hampel certainly could be classified or as a veteran in this field. He is, of course, the defending New Zealand FIM Speedway Grand Prix champion, and Mark Gottlieb is now with him in pit lane.
Yes, he won here last year, Jarek Hampel. You really like this track, don't you?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. This is my favorite track, one of the favorite ones. It's pretty big, you know, long straight. You can go so fast on the straight. So yeah, this track is good. Of course, the corner is really banking, and you can get a lot of, you know, good moment on the track. So I really enjoying on the track in here.
Obviously, no Thomas Golub this season. Pressure of an entire nation on you now.
Yeah, there is. I didn't feel now, but for sure, you know, when we came to the meeting, probably I can feel a bit more pressure than normal. But what can I do? I've started, you know, for so many years under the pressure, so I try to handle everything.
Obviously, you won a World Cup, got gold medal last season. It's in Bydgoszcz this season. You're looking forward to going home and being in the World Cup?
Yeah, it's that's going to be amazing because we've got a World Cup in my country, so probably you will expect, you know, a good crowd down there. And but this is like a middle of the season, so I don't think too much about this competition because now it's so important to keep my focus for the first round in Grand Prix.
Obviously, after winning last season, he will be one of the favourites again today. Back to you, David.
Yes, thank you, Mark. There is no doubt that Jaroslav Hampel will be difficult to beat here today, but also indeed throughout the course of the entire 2014 World Championship season. Poland, of course, will be strong again, but so too will Australia. And now joining us on set here in the pits at Western Springs Speedway is Darcy Ward, a talent that has been described by many, including Jason Crump, as arguably the fastest rider in the world.
Yeah, in my opinion, Darcy is one of the favourites this year, and as you rightly said, one of the fastest riders around.
Darcy, multiple world under-21 champion. This is the really big time, as you know. How's your preparation been ahead of this season?
Yeah, for sure. It's been a little bit different. It's obviously been a bit more focused and, you know, trying to get the job done this year. So, you know, I look forward to trying to mix up the big boys and, if not, you know, get the upper hand.
What did you learn last season?
A lot of things. You know, obviously I got hurt there, so I didn't really need to get hurt there. I just pushed hard in a heat race, which in the end cost me, you know, maybe a silver medal. So that kind of sucks. But, you know, that's the learning curve that you take throughout the rookie year. So I learned a lot of things on and off track. So if you can bring that to this year, then I think got a good chance.
Yeah, I think it was obviously very disappointing for yourself to be injured, but I think everybody could see, Darcy, that when you came back from that injury, you were a different rider and probably raced with a bit more maturity for the rest of the season. And obviously you're looking to carry that on this year, and you've started the year on fire. I mean, your performance last week was exceptional, so you must be excited.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when I come back from that injury, it was a different story. I don't really know how it sort of changed, but it sort of just all come together and made me focus a bit more and, you know, try and mix it with the big boys. So, you know, this year is definitely, you know, an opportunity for myself. So I'm, you know, got to take it with all hands.
I agree with that. I think the opportunity Darcy has this year is right there, and probably goes in rightly as one of the favourites for the championship.
Yeah, no doubt the time is certainly right. Darcy, the Western Springs venue, you'd enjoy the wide open spaces here, the banking, and the fact that it is a little different by virtue of being a clay base. A lot of the Australian riders have been brought up on that sort of composite surface.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy it. I was here last year and felt I went okay, and we had a practice yesterday, and you know, it's I think it's one of the quickest tracks on the circuit, but you know, it's got the banking, which is, you know, awesome to ride. When you turn in a corner, it turns in for you, so that's a good feeling, and you know, I look forward to getting out there.
I think if I remember last year, Darcy used the banking just about more than everybody, and had a sensational race with Emil at the end there. So you certainly know the fast way around here, and I'm really looking forward to see you get at it this year.
Me too.
Yeah, Jason, you were saying before we came on air today, one of the characteristics about this circuit is the fact that as a rider you're able to get your wheels in line quickly, and hence you've got massive terminal speed at the end of the straights.
Absolutely, it is one of the bigger tracks on the circuit as well, and you know, when you ride it a way that you see the absolute top riders ride it, you can actually make the straight a lot longer than what it is, you know, by probably 50 or 60 metres, and that's exactly what Darcy did last year when he used the outside, and I guess you're probably looking at trying that trick a few times this year if you can.
Yeah, for sure. And yesterday, there was a lot of dirt out there, so it was good. But I think last year, no one really explored out that far, and then I was the first one to do it, and it happened to pay off.
Darcy, you're one of 3 Aussies in the championship in 2014. I know it's an individual competition, but you must derive some good camaraderie by virtue of there being a couple of other Aussies too on the road with you.
Yeah, 100%. It makes it a little bit better. Obviously I'm good friends with Chris. Good friend with Chris, and already been through the circuit with him. And now we got Batch on board, and he's a character of some sort. So it's it's good fun behind the scenes. But when it comes on the track, I'll be pushing them just as hard as anybody else.
Good luck with that, Darcy. Thanks for joining us, champ. Now, let's, without any further ado, head back to Mark, who's in pit lane with one of the most popular world champions of all time. I refer to America's Greg Hancock.
Yes, popular is probably an understatement. Greg, welcome back to New Zealand. You've had 2 finals in a row here. You really like this track?
Yeah, thanks for, it's great to be back, first of all. And this place is amazing. It seems like the topic of conversation right now, too, that the track is so big, and it's got, there are a number of racing lines on the track. However, there's one really fast line there, and if you make a good start and you get on that line, it'll be difficult to pass. However, this day and age, the kind of riders that are out there can never underestimate anything.
169 straight Grand Prix, mate. What's the secret? The fountain of youth?
Can't tell you. It's one of them. There's no secret, man. It's just a matter of doing what I love to do. I've been doing this for a long time. Of course, it's been a childhood dream to win a world championship, and I did it twice. So, I still have that burning desire. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'll grow up one day, but for now, I just want to win. Obviously, a bit of a changing of the guard this season. Thomas Golub's gone. Jason CRUMP went last season. All these young blokes, you're still taking it to them. Yeah, it doesn't get any easier, that's for sure. But, I learn. I try to learn as much from them as I think that they can learn from me, too. But it's a hard game out there. These guys can beat you all day long on aggression. But for me to go out there and try to outride them is the only thing I can do. Obviously, for our Australian fans, there's a couple of Australians in there this season. Who's your sort of tip for the guy to beat this season? Well, you know what? I mean, you've got quite a group of Aussies in there right now, and they're all young and they're all ambitious, and that's probably the biggest danger for all of us, because they're not just fighting to win the world championship; they're fighting to be the top dog of the youth too. So, you got Chris and Darcy to begin with, and then Troy came in on a late run. But those kind of guys you can't underestimate, and I don't really want to put a finger on any one name, because 15 riders in this event can beat you on any given day. Well, Greg Hancock's still going strong in his mid-40s now, so he's going to be very tough to beat today. Back to you, David.
Yes, thank you, Mark. There is no doubt that Greg Hancock's longevity in the Grand Prix series has been extraordinary. Jason, as you know, he's been there since 1995. Can he win his 3rd World Crown in 2014?
Yeah, knowing Greg the way I do, I think he wouldn't be here if he didn't genuinely think he could win. So definitely one of the guys to keep your eye on.
OK, on that note, we will take a break from Western Springs Speedway Stadium in Auckland. When we return, we've got plenty of high-profile guests, including the reigning world champion, joining us as we continue the countdown to the 2014 New Zealand FIM Speedway Grand Prix.
His palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. There's vomit on his sweater already. Mom's spaghetti, he's nervous, but on the surface he looks calm and ready to drop bombs. But he keeps on forgetting what he wrote down. The whole crowd goes so loud, he opens his mouth, but the words won't come out. He's choking how? Everybody's choking now. The clock's run out. Time's up.